Thunder Lightning weekly podcast.
Talking all things mediumship, spirit and paranormal.
Awaken with Thunder and Lightning. Reignite
the light
in your soul. This is Thunder and Lightning, talking all things mediumship,
spirit,
paranormal, and anything else we feel like. Good evening, Roger. It's been a little while. I know you left me your bugger to do one by myself when you lost your voice. How are you feeling now?
Oh, a lot better than what I was, thank you.
Good. And did you enjoy your holiday? I believe you've been away.
Yes. I had a few days up in Northumberland.
And I know the normal saying is a little birdie told me so, but this little fishy told me so. Did you have a little bit of an incident with some seawater? Did your car smell a little bit like a kipper?
It smelt like a trolley afterwards, yes.
So you needed a fisherman's friend.
Certainly did.
What happened there?
Well, we parked up in Beednell.
Did you park or did your lovely lady park?
My good lady parked the car up and we were
it's always the bloody women drivers. I'm joking, I'm going to get shot here.
Sat there having a nice crab and prawn sandwich. Delicious it was. And we were just watching the sea. Very stormy on that particular day. And it was coming over this seawall, which we were sat next to. And she says, oh, I want a picture of it. I want a picture of it. White window down. Let's get a picture. And I'm thinking, well, that looks a bit rough. Does that? So took a picture of it, wound it up. And for some reason, I caught the button again and it started to come down and I saw this just wall of water coming. And I thought, I'll try, but it's futile to put it back up. Now, I did get it to within about half an inch of it being closed, but that kind of concentrated the amount of water what came through. So I hear
it wasn't just water though. It got a little clammy in the mouth.
Yes, I got a little bit of seaweed.
Partial to seaweed when it's Chinese. But did you know it's bloody cabbage? They've been ripping me off.
It certainly is. I've still got some in pocket.
Oh, seaweed?
Yes.
I was going to say, cabbage.
No, I wouldn't leave cabbage in the pocket, but I've left a bit of seaweed as a memento.
Roger's been to the seaside and he pulled a mussel.
Boom, boom. So yeah, it's good to be back and more or less back to normal, whatever normality is.
Yeah, we've still got to get you down this end though, so we can go to that Mary Queen of Scots old castle.
Oh yes, need to do that. It's funny that because I was thinking exactly the same thing at that point in time.
If you did come down, you're more than welcome. If you didn't want you're welcome to come and stay with us, and you can have our bed instead for you and the lovely Suzanne.
Oh, that's a lovely gesture. Thank you very much, Gavin.
It's all right. We need a new mattress anyway. Better get one of those first. That's a funny story behind that. I got into bed and got a bloody spring up my ass.
Ooh.
I do need to get another mattress, but she likes the soft ones and I like the hard ones. Yes, I wasn't being rude. Now I do need to get a new mattress.
I know what you're saying because I like them I like them quite firm, but not too hard.
Yeah, not too hard, otherwise you get bad back yourself.
Well, because of things what have happened in the past, I've got, I suppose it's rheumatoid arthritis in my lower back. And if it's too hard, it just triggers that off. So, yeah.
I get that. If it's too soft, I get that on my shoulder. If it's too soft, I don't know quite why, but it's as if it's soft for the rest of my body. My shoulder's lighter, so then it's up more and I get the pain in my shoulder.
We both like it fairly firm.
I would say suits you, sir. So yes, apologies that we've not been on for a few weeks, but we are getting back to normal now. We've been very busy on the PsychicGavin business front. I've been building up websites, learning all about SEOs, learning about blogs, trying to work out how to get, not for a particular area, because I like clients from all over the world, but trying to get up onto Google's sort of first page, and started writing a blog, which if you wanted to see my blog, just go to psychicgavin.online/blogs. The first week's quite interesting if you're wanting to know what I do. I've given a very thorough breakdown to everything that I do. And in addition to that, we've been doing quite a few clearances. One was very interesting last week, which we will come to. So I know each day as a medium is different. No day is ever the same. And it proved no clearance is ever the same. Someone had got a bit of a problem with electrics at home. And none other than King Richard III and Lord Stanley showed up. Well, didn't show up, were there. I don't think they realised that they'd passed over. So I know King Richard III was found not long ago. Was it 2014?
It was reburied in 2015, I believe.
He was found
in
excavation minus his feet. So he's still looking for his Adidas. He was found at a friary in Leicestershire, but now we've found his spirit as well, and just not crossed over. They were still like battling as if it was the Battle of Bosworth Field still. So 500 years of fighting gone on, and it's moved to some poor chap's house, which is a little bit better now for him. So that's been very interesting. So not kind of the spirit you're expecting to meet. He was very positive as it was.
I think the gentleman got very uncomfortable with the spirits in his house.
Yeah, it's always nice to try and help people like that. But then in addition to those clearances, I've been trying to thoroughly build the website. So, which again, you can just look at PsychicGavin.online.
Plus you've forgotten, you've also been writing up and preparing lessons.
I have. So moved on to teaching shamanic healing.
You've been helping your good lady, Marie.
I have, with the crystals, and I've been trying to plan events around the country for platform. And at the moment, I've got a list of that I'm going to try and visit to do events: Rugby, Northampton, Kempston in Bedfordshire, Peterborough, St Neots, Sussex. I've just got to decide quite where. Essex. Still trying to decide exactly where. So if anyone's got any feedback, you can message in if you know some good locations. I need it to somewhere between 60 and 100 for it to hold. Norwich, Thetford, which I think I've got somewhere in Thetford. Leicester, Milton Keynes, Kettering, Kings Lynn, Bedford itself, Coventry, Hemel Hempstead, Hitchin, Huntingdon, Nuneaton as an initial list. And then I've got to focus one on going north.
Excellent. That's fantastic. And when do you think you'll be doing your tour?
I'm hoping the first one's going to be in Northampton on the 17th of November, and then I'm hoping it'll go 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and trying to do 7 on the trot.
Wow.
Then a break, and then another 7.
I think you'll do amazing.
I love doing the platform. It's spirit work in a slightly different way. It's a bit like when, these Zooms, the family Zoom that I do on the Fridays, which I keep them small. I know the in-person events don't keep them small, but spirit works slightly differently. They give the evidence, but you can share tears, but you can share laughter as well. Where Granny comes through and says you need to tidy your floor, or why do you keep hanging your bra there, or whatever. You get some humour from them as well. And I love working like that. I know you always get the odd person that's like, why on earth have they bought a ticket? But I don't mind them either. I just let the guides do the talking at that point. And that's one benefit of trance. But no, I thoroughly thrive on the platform, which is quite funny because 3 years ago, I hated webcam, thought of even being online and in view. Don't mind that at all now. The being at the front of a room talking, that used to frighten me as well. But I'd got told that I'd never be able to do that. And there's nothing more difficult. I did manage to do that at my father's funeral, which I'm really, really proud about. And that I've had his support ever since, standing up at the front of rooms and talking. But I wouldn't want to do it on a subject other than spirituality or actually in the reading mode, because I know I've got spirit that will step in and do a lot of the talking. So that is a bit of cheating.
Well, no, it isn't. It's your vocation.
Well, yeah. But the nerves can sometimes step in. So I do understand anyone when they're starting to develop with regard to the nerves. I really, really do understand that. But I always have to think of it. I don't actually get that nervous anymore, so to speak. I just don't worry about it till the moment I walk in the room, and it's like, where am I going to walk to? Boom, that's where I'm going first. So from there on, it's just because if I get too nervous, well, courage comes from fear. Courage wouldn't be there without fear. So if you didn't fear, I don't think it'd be a good night.
You also have faith, belief, and trust that your guides are going to put you in the right direction and take you to the right people.
Yeah, I've not thought of it like that before. I just said it's got more than actually faith, trust, and belief now. It's a knowing.
Yes.
I hadn't even thought of it like that. Now I just know. They're not going to let me down. Although that brings me up to another funny story.
Go on.
So doing table work, which isn't quite the same as platform. If there's 2 or 3, maybe 4 mediums, and you're going to table, so that the guests see 3 or 4 mediums in a night. Well, spirit have got a little stance going. It's like you're meant to give 3 or 4 messages when you get to the table. For the last, I think 7 or 8 events now that I've done, very first table I've sat down to, they're giving a message to every single person on the table, which I find is phenomenal. Just love it. They just make me work quick, and it's precise, boom, 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 information. But you often get at these events people that have come from work or they work together. So yes, they might be friends, but they don't know the ins and outs of each other's lives. So you sit down with a group of work colleagues, and it's the ones that I normally try and avoid. You know, you're giving them something accurate, and they're like, I don't want my boss to know that. I don't want them to know that. So it's like, no, even though it's a yes, and then they'll tell you afterwards, oh no, that was a yes. But you often get it, or it's the boss is a bit mouthy and been dragged along with the others that do believe, and there's always a way to shut them up. So Lisa, Spirit have given me, you're looking for a new job. You've had a couple of interviews and you're about to hand your notice in at work. Sorry, you're not with a group of work friends, are you? That's not your boss, is it? Normally quietens them down.
I bet.
There's always one like that that's looking to move on.
Yeah, I love stories like that. Really funny.
Last year at Halloween, an event I went and did, they wanted it more as like a paranormal investigation. On their signage, they put seance. Well, seance is such a large scoped word. What does it actually mean? It could mean a multitude of things. It could be taken as into mediumship readings, it could be taken into physical mediumship, looking for signs of stuff, or it could just be general communication. So there was a bit of confusion anyway. But this one lady, she was a nice lady, but she was like, I'm not moving. And she was kind of in the middle of the room. And I was saying, what we need to do is try and clear a bit of the floor space because we're going to get the human pendulum going. Oh, I'll be all right just here. Or Spirit disagreed. The next minute I got the camera running for a live I was doing. You see this orb form to a white glow. So not like a full person. You can't see it as a full person, but a white glow of person height. And then dive towards the chair. And you see 2 legs form and it kicks the leg of the chair. At the same time as a spirit from the other side comes forward just as a black orb and hits the diagonal other chair leg. These 2 chair legs snap in half and she tilts over and went flying off the chair. That's the only time I've ever seen that. So diagonal chair legs, so she was just left on the pivot of 2 diagonals and the other 2 chair legs was in half. It was hilarious.
I bet
her drink went everywhere. Her legs were up in the air.
I bet she
I did tell her what was going to happen. I had a reading with them then the following week.
How did that go?
Really, really well. I told her what was going to happen and she didn't believe me, so then it happened. But I've often said some far out things that have happened. I know partner Marie sometimes looks and goes, you can't say that. That's just like unfeasible. There was a lady in Ireland, and I'm allowed to talk about this, she doesn't mind. Her grandfather had passed and his ashes, they were talking about dropping them in the ocean. And I picked this up in a reading and they were going to drop them out on a drone. I said, there's some sort of doubt on whether you're going to be able to be there. And if they don't change the date and you're not there, your grandfather's going to drop this $4.5 grand drone into the ocean. And she laughed, and I think she thought I was crazy. 2.5 weeks later, I get a message from her with a video. In the video, she wasn't there. They carried on with it anyway. It was exactly 4.5 grand's worth of drone. Lifts up, takes off with grandfather's ashes, flies out over the Irish Sea, hovering above the water. Nothing around at all. All of a sudden, this drone gets thrown sideways, boom, straight into the ocean. 4.5 grand's worth of drone lost. She's got the video to prove it. That's one of them where I thought, you've got to trust. Whenever you're developing, whatever you're given, say it. No matter how silly it sounds, how crazy it sounds. And that's really where you get your trust and proof from, to carry on saying whatever's given.
Yeah. Yes. Can I ask you whilst we're on?
Of course.
What have you got planned for Halloween?
Now,
have you got any paranormal events lined up?
Yes, the Tide Mill. So yes, on the Friday the 28th, I've got the Tide Mill in Suffolk, which is Halloween Paranormal Investigation, which is one of my own events, and it's never been investigated before. It has got activity that the staff always speak about. If anyone is interested, hop onto my website, PsychicGavin.online/events, and you'll see the Tide Mill Suffolk Halloween event. Then I've also got Great Yarmouth at the Toll House Jail on the Saturday, and that is with Fright Nights.
Excellent. I'm sure there'll be quite a few people coming forward to do both of those for you, Gavin.
I'm just being told by Spirit I'll also have one on the 31st, but it's not in the diary at the minute.
Details to be confirmed at a later date, eh?
Yeah. That often happens, actually. I've had that the last couple of years. I've not been booked and then all of a sudden been booked for the Halloween itself. Some people, pubs especially, leave it to the last minute and then decide they want something. Talking of Fright Nights, we can have Mark Hughes to interview. That's from Fright Nights, or owns Fright Nights, with his wife Linda. He's doing very well now with his mediumship. He's one that came through my fast track mediumship. He's working with his mediumship now. You might hear on whatever sort of spiritual development that's going to cost a fortune and take forever. It doesn't have to. Yes, it needs your effort to be put in and some belief, but you can get there. It doesn't need to take long. And that counts even with the trance mediumship, which, watch this space, because that's the next area that I'm going to start trying to teach, will be trance, which I'm going to do it in the modern way. I've got a few sneaky tricks up my sleeve her spirit have given me, which is one of the reasons that I got qualified in hypnosis.
Oh, that's exciting. That's one area which I would love to get to know more about, is the trance.
Oh, you were my guinea pig.
Good.
You spoke out in trance on the very first hypnosis session, because you see with the hypnosis you become comfortable in whatever's going on around, so it's easy for the guides to step close. Once they've spoken to once, they can start working with the voice box, and it can aid with the development. But I'm actually being given, typically when they start to work with the voice box, it normally coincides with some sort of infection or something around the throat.
Yes, it
did with me.
It just made me wonder as to why this had gone on for 5 weeks. So that kind of makes sense.
I'll just see now. Can you do how high pitch can you go? Crystals.
Yes.
Crystals, they can really aid development. They can aid a lot of things. But most people, especially if they're the shops, they stock the expensive crystals for their purpose. So if there's a crystal for a purpose of doing X, Y, Z, yes, you can get some that can give you a right good welly and hit you like a sledgehammer, Synergy 12. But there's a lot of other things that are a lot cheaper if people haven't got the money and want to still try and develop and have the aid of crystals or stones. There's the calcites, like what Marie had prepared earlier, the jaspers. There's many other ways and forms of getting that support from a stone or a crystal without having to cost you a fortune.
Yes, you can buy tumbles. It just depends on what you are drawn to. And that's how I first started. When I went out buying things and like that, it was you go somewhere and you, bit cliche, I'd just put my hand over, like scanning, and then just feel, oh right, okay, I'm being drawn to that particular crystal. Why am I being drawn to this? Right. Are you sure? Yes. Right. Well, I'll buy that one then.
I've got a question now for you with regard to those crystals. Did you go out and buy any crystals because you thought you needed to buy them in order to keep safe? Protection ones, Obsidian, Tourmaline, anything like that?
I think I actually bought some Tourmaline in the first instance. Right. What I bought, the first time I ever went out and bought crystals, I bought a big chunk of moldavite.
Snap.
Again, I just went in this warehouse and just picked up this piece of, it's about 2-inch square, but it's quite thin, 2-inch square dark piece of moldavite, dream amethyst, some golden merlinite, carnelian. Wow, I've forgotten about these. And I also bought a big chunk of quartz with a spar of black tourmaline. And at that time, I just thought, well, that's for grounding and protection, is that?
Without knowing.
Yeah.
But no, that's the best way. That's different to most people. See, the reason I mentioned the Tourmaline, the Obsidian, one of the biggest mistakes I would have said, or you need to at least know about, the Obsidian and Tourmaline, if you're trying to develop, there's no point in you trying to sit with that on your lap while you're getting a connection with spirit. It's grounding. It's keeping your vibration down here. Yes, there's certain approaches. If you went the spiritual church route, then they'd say you raise your vibration and you lower it back down. But sometimes you can get caught in that sequence of bringing your vibration back down, grounding, and you don't feel like you make any progress spiritually. But of course, you're not. If you're keeping that grounding around you, spirit can't work with your energy, the raised energy, because if you can, effectively, it's not just initially when you develop, it's up and down with the energy. But ultimately what's going on is you're spreading your range, your frequency. If you think of a radio station, local radio station, 93.6, say you've got a range of 93 to 93.9. Well, as you raise your vibration, your scope comes from 92.5 to 94.5. But if you'll keep grabbing that energy to ground, you've not got that scope to be able to do that. So then you're not holding that extra range. But lots of people would say, oh, you need the tourmaline, you need that. But it's normally a psychic that would give you that you need to have that grounding stone. I'm not saying don't have the grounding stone. They can be very, very useful when you become floaty or anything else, but not on you. It's something that you need within your reach. I'd always say if you want some protection, because I always say the obsidian and the tourmaline are protective, go with Numamite. Numamite. When I wear it, protects you, but it protects your higher chakras.
Well, what I used to use for something like that when I first started, I got drawn to snowflake obsidian. Well, snowflake obsidian balances the mind's body and soul, and it removes negativity. It's a purity stone. That's one of the first stones I worked with.
How long did you work for it with you?
I probably carried it around with me for over 12 months.
And then you not ditched it, you kept it more at home, and so you could call on it when you wanted.
Yes.
Because just looking at it briefly, I've only looked at the picture, so I'm getting this from Spirit, not anywhere else. The Obsidian's very, very grounding, so it works with your root. The snowflake, whatever element that is, I'm not a crystal expert, as you'll gather, but the snowflake, whatever element that is working with your third eye. So it gives balance between the two, gives you comfort while developing.
That's interesting. Yeah, because at the
Harmony.
time I was sorry, I'm erming again. At that particular time, I was going to a shamanic meditation group, or learning about shamanism at that particular time, and it just felt so natural to use that particular crystal whilst doing that kind of work.
Well, you didn't tell me it was on shamanic. Now I'd have said that was an excellent choice, because that's then connecting with nature. So a lot of their practice, I'm a shaman as well, but depending on what work you're doing on the shamanic front, it's a perfect crystal for going in for like soul retrieval or anything like that, because you're working with those energies that are down here, shadow work. So you need to be grounded, because you're working with someone else's or your own energies on the physical level, but yet still being able to raise the third eye to get that alternate mindset.
Wow.
Alternate state of consciousness.
So I got drawn to that particular crystal, which was in the form of a wand.
A wand. Did you have a ring as well? Not a ring you wear, a ring like on a necklace.
Yes. Thank you. I've forgotten about that one.
I didn't know that. I was just being shown one. That's then known as a power ring.
So yes, for me, at that particular time, I didn't know much about the crystals themselves. I just picked up what I was drawn to, and snowflake obsidian for that type of work seemed the right thing to work with.
I'm going to have to share this with you. Spirit giving me the reason that the power ring works. It's got a hole out the middle. So that's removing part of the grounding. It's got then a circle for the energy to move anti-clockwise. The energy moving anti-clockwise, that circle is then that's missing. If you're wearing it as a necklace, it's attaching to your energy, which effectively creates not a portal as we see the word portal for energies going backwards, forwards to different realms, but the portal, the connection to other frequencies. Tap, 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 I've just had around me.
Well,
so that's something that's not written about, I guess.
Well, that's I've learned something new there. Wow.
So but I will do a bit of research into what I've just been given there. Good evening, everyone. It is Jane.
Good evening, Jane.
Hello, all of you. Hello, Roger. It has been a long time for me talking on Thunder and Lightning. It is coming up to the equinox, as you call it on Earth.
That's
the balance in light and darkness. So, it is a good time to be balancing yourselves. The first way to balance yourselves is not to be too harsh on oneself. Always focus on that which you know you're good at, and what you're proud of yourself for. Do not focus on those things that you think, oh, I need to be working a bit harder on this, or I need to be changing this or doing this, I'm not good at that. That balances you all wrong. Then you won't manifest, you'll struggle. Focus on what you know you're good at, and the things you want to change, focus on that as a goal. Then you've got the energies working in your favour. If you find yourself slipping, be grateful for something. The act of gratefulness is impossible to be negative. And that is one tip for getting yourself out of a little rut. So this is Jane. That is my guidance for you this week. And I kind of surprised Roger and rushed in with this. So I send love to all of you, my children, and your families. Have a lovely week, my children. Lots of love. Goodbye, Roger.
Goodbye, Jane. Thank you for that.
Roger.
Wisdom. Yes.
Tell them how long it took you to make your robot, please.
A few hours. Lovely to hear from Jane and a pearl of wisdom there for everybody.
What was she talking? What did she ask you?
You know how long it took me to make the robot head.
Oh, yes, for the supporters party last week.
Probably about 2.5 hours, all in all.
It took me about 45 minutes just to do my face paint. That was a bugger to get off. I was still glowing in the morning.
Well, I could see when you'd finished, you still got your mascara on.
Oh yeah, no, I did struggle to get it off.
Is it eyeliner?
It was just normal face paint, but it did take a while to get off.
Mind you, if it weren't like that stuff I used last year for Halloween, I ended up going to work with green hair. Go on then, Gavin. What happened last week in last Friday's clearance then?
Oh yeah. So King Richard III. There was terrible trouble in the home. Lights, doors, but they thought they'd picked up a name. And they thought the name was Andy. So I'm calling the spirit Andy. And I kind of got a yes, but also a no. But it wasn't Andy, it was Stanley. I kept hearing Lord, and kept being told that they were going to promote me from bishop to cardinal.
Yes, that would have been high. That's a higher
And
bishop, then archbishop, then cardinal.
but I was told it'd be on the Church of England route, I was pretty sure, which didn't make much sense to me. And then we kept getting a Richard, and I was talking to a Richard, very down-to-earth man, and I knew that he was trying to protect his son, and there was a daughter, and they'd been put around this family for safekeeping. But Lord Stanley wasn't too happy, was trying to get them, was causing a big problem. And it wasn't until the penny dropped at the last point, we got the last bits of information, because the man of the household, as we'd got Richard around, I knew that we'd got one last spirit around, but I knew he wasn't a problem because he didn't need to be got rid of for higher purpose. It was only if he wanted to go. So he started getting pains in his head and a mark on his head. And it was actually the marks where King Richard III had been attacked. And finally we got given king, and we had the trumpets like do 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 do. Well, I can't do it, but like as if come through with from spirit, kind of saluting him. Well, he hadn't been to the light, and where this gentleman lived was by Bosworth Fields, where the battle had actually taken place. So they'd kind of come and resided in his home, but at night time, of course, there was a lot of troops still there, and it was a place of negativity where they'd died. There was hundreds of spirits. It was like they were reenacting the battle every night, but trying to affect the household because King Richard's family were around him for safekeeping. So it was a novel experience. Not every day that you expect to be introduced to royalty. So I did end up clearing the negative energies, and Richard in the end did go to the light, which was fantastic.
Yeah, it's not every day that you get a member of royalty coming forward like that. And it's surprising that he didn't actually, he was still grounded. He was still here. He hadn't gone to the light before.
I know there was a couple of amusing bits in it where he did come. I did put a spirit box on near the end, and he did speak out. He'd seen the light come down for others as we were helping other spirits. So isn't there a different coloured light for me? Before I could say no, the light's there. And he's like, oh, it's changed. I've got a golden light now, as he saw his family. It's just like leaving to it. But it was nice to see. But the only royalty I've ever thought about was I know I'd love to connect with Mary Queen of Scots. I'm pretty sure she's down here still. But that could be a bit of an energy.
I think that will be an interesting energy to work with, because the Queen Elizabeth was Church of England, and when Mary Queen of Scots was executed, it is reputed that she took off some black outer garments to reveal red. So she was in red dress underneath, which represented the Catholic Church and being a martyr.
There are a few people that have got photos of what they believe is her in spirit, where she has got red on.
Right.
So that's interesting.
I didn't know that, but
that's somewhere up north. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
The trumpets, and you heard the heralds playing the coronets, like what you hear in Westminster Abbey or wherever.
Yeah, Roger was with me on that clearance, as well as a couple of others were helping. It's always good. I'm never one that. It's always good to have others around in case your energy's dropping or there's something you miss, especially with the clearances, and it just makes it less hard work. Plus, it's also aiding others to learn. It's not something I read or it's in the textbook. Before I was even doing the mediumship, Spirit were getting me to do clearances. And it's just trusting what you get, which Roger did very well. It was him that put the pieces together, it being King Richard, but in a way I was glad that I didn't understand that it was King Richard, otherwise it could have compromised what information I was getting. But when it had come through, it just then made total sense. It was like an eye-opener. It was like, okay, that makes sense.
I was just getting more and more animated towards the end of that, because I was realising, oh, you've got royalty here. Oh, you've got King Richard III. So, yeah, I was getting excited because
it was funny. It was as if both sides were trying to be king.
Yes, they were.
So anyway, we've had a bit of a catch up. I've missed it.
So have I.
Please do also, everyone, if you do have a look at the blog, there's bits of video, a lot of useful information there. And hopefully next time we speak, Roger will be giving out his Facebook address for you to put some follows onto his page. So I need to give him a bit of a hand just doing the last touches there.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a technophobe.
But I will say, if anyone wants a particular topic covered, just comment. If you're wanting a particular interview, ask, and I'll see what I can do. So if you're into guided meditations, they're also on all platforms. Just ask for PsychicGavin Guided Meditations podcast, and they will come up. Take care. Happy equinox. Lots of love. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Remember, awaken with Thunder and Lightning.
Reignite the light
In your soul. Talking all things
mediumship,
paranormal,
and spirit.
Have a great week, everyone. This is Gavin. Bye-bye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Bye.
Lots of love, everyone.